First Watch now.
What you need to know from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Hosted by Cochise County Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler. First Watch on 92.3 KWCD.
Brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, giving you an inside look into your Sheriff's Office. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas, Public Information Officer with the Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Mark Daniels. Good morning.
Good morning, Cochise County.
Hello, everyone.
So we have some exciting news about local football, and Sheriff Mark Daniels, take it away.
Well, we're going to be kicking off the Friday night Cochise County High School football again on the radio. And we didn't do it last year because nobody had set schedules. Everybody was just struggling to get a football game in, let alone to have a set schedule. So this year we're back. And Grady, thank you for that, for Cherry Creek and yourself stepping up and working with us. So we're going to kick our first game off on September 3rd with Tombstone versus Chandler Prep. Tombstone is a home game. And our goal when we do this, working with Cherry Creek, is to actually broadcast the game from every high school in Cochise County. So we got 5 home Buena games we're going to be calling, and then we got Tombstone, of course, Bisbee, Wilcox, Douglas, and we're actually going to do a game with St. David and Valley Union, which is Elfrida. So, yeah, we're pretty excited about that, to get back on the radio and start broadcasting our student-athletes that are out there playing football. But so September 3rd is our first game. Tombstone will be home, and Chandler Prep's traveling down from the Phoenix area to compete with them.
And this year it's going to be on K101, which is 100.9 on your FM dial. That's where the games will be every Friday night. So it hasn't been on that station yet, so that'll be the station that it goes on this year.
Yeah, K101 FM, All Hits Radio.
That's right.
You know, I never really looked at it. I pulled it up yesterday to kind of see but it's All Hits Radio. So now you got Cochise County High School football. So we're excited. And anytime you can take our student athletes and give them a little shout on a radio, I think we're doing something pretty neat.
Yeah, it should be pretty good. And we're starting to get sponsors for all that, and the community loves to get behind this event. So thank you for calling the games for Cherry Creek Radio.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll be out there and putting 6:30 we kick off with the preseason. 7 o'clock we kick off the game. So again, it's a lot of fun going around, and just it's my way as a sheriff giving back into the communities and calling those games. And I know the parents. I've talked to a few of the schools already, and they're all pretty excited to have us come over and do that.
Well, let's talk about the monsoon season. Last night's storm was pretty wet.
It was. Boy, it's green.
It's
Green.
nice.
I'm so excited about that because we were so brown for so long. I mean, everything was dead. And I had the opportunity. I called one of the ranchers yesterday coming back late afternoon, and I just asked him how it's going, because the ranching community, I know we've all been doing rain dances for them because it's been a rough year for them with the drought, and they're still struggling. And you would think with all the green that they'd be all, yeah, it's over. Well, it's not. I mean, their challenges still exist when it comes to feeding their cattle and their livestock. So keep doing those rain dances for the ranchers, because they're still struggling out there.
I kind of like to do it for me. I need green grass.
I do too.
Just a small patch.
I know. And I've mowed twice. Mowing's my therapy, so I've mowed twice already, and I think I'm going to grab that mower today and do some mowing here. But, yeah, it's just I love it out there. And growing up in the Midwest, you can imagine seeing all that green. It's just like home again. But it does. It just really brings the beauty out of Arizona.
It does. And so with that goes, keeping people safe, making sure that they're aware. We posted a thing about making sure you have your go bag in the event that something goes horribly wrong, because the National Weather Service has said that starting last night all the way through Saturday is going to be really tough rains in a lot of areas of Cochise County. So that includes being prepared, the ready,
Yes.
set, go. It's not just for wildfires, it's for floods and any other natural disaster, and driving. So people driving in this stuff, just please be careful.
And we've had a lot of incidents already. It hit us so fast this year, the rain, and the flash floods are. I mean, we had the rescue with the 2 elderly females. We had 2 cars last week, I think it was, where 2 cars were swept down, awash. People, the power of water is incredible, especially when it's coming. I mean, just hits you like a train. And that's what the elderly lady was saying to us when she said that. They were looking at the water, and all of a sudden she said it sounded like a train coming at them, and then just swept them away. So, again, we got to be smart out there.
And, that was really a miracle rescue.
It
congratulations to, Search and Rescue for doing such a great job, and everybody who was out there. That poor woman was in the hospital for 2 weeks. So she just got out recently, and then the people, again, another miracle. They got swept down 4 miles before the water dissipated enough at the bridge for them to be able to drag themselves out and get on top of the bridge to be helped.
They underestimate being the desert, that doesn't happen here. In fact, it's just the opposite. It's wicked here. It's truly wicked. So just be careful out there. And we've all talked about, turn around, don't drown. It's been a safety message in the past. It'll be one again today just be very careful on those washes. And what's going up in Highway 80 is another issue where it's a mess with the road. The road's coming apart up there.
Right, and that's in the St. David area. And now, if you want to see some interesting pictures, we've already posted those at Apache Powder Road, where that's intersecting with the section that is problematic. They're getting sinkholes and fissures, and then their traffic is redirecting through those back roads, and they're not made for heavy-duty traffic, over a certain weight limit, and semis, and if you get in one way, you can't turn around. There's no turning around. So
one of the biggest issues, and I got complaints from this community up there this week about the signage, the lack of signage, and I don't like to point fingers. I went up there actually the next day to look into it to see what I could do, and this is actually a highway issue. It's not a public safety issue. I mean, when ADOT, Arizona Department of Transportation, shuts down a highway or county highways, we're usually not involved in that, but in this case, we became involved because people were very upset. So we went up there and we looked into it. Obviously, the signage is not there. So people coming out of St. David, it comes up and says road closed. There is no detour signs. It's just the road is closed, which what they're saying is go back to Highway 82, go up through Whetstone, and then back into Benson. And, of course, they think there's a better alternative. And so we have reached out on behalf of the Sheriff's Office to both ADOT and Cochise County Highway Department saying, hey, can we do a better job here of doing some signage, some detour signs, and it's a challenge. They all have a valid point of why, or they've done the most they're going to do. So, but we tried to put some influence on that, and there was a few more signs out there, but still, it's not the Sheriff's Office running that, and people see that on our Facebook and they get upset, but understand it's not our closure.
And they also have road closures as of this morning. So last night, Charleston Road was closed for a short period of time by the time we got notified of closing and opening because it was just so full of water. Tombstone Marshal's deputy said that, he almost got stuck in that area around milepost 11. So they said, okay, we're going to close it. Shortly thereafter, they reopened it. And then they have Escapole Road, which is right off of Charleston Road, and North Monsoon. Those were closed for similar issues, and I don't have a report of those being open yet this morning. And then Davis Road between Highway 80 and Frontier Road in the Bisbee area, that's always crazy when it rains. So they have that closed. And then we had a report of Kings Road in Douglas. The dip there is completely full of water. So again, it doesn't take long for it to dissipate sometimes, but just if you see any water running, turn around, don't drown. And this morning, Charleston Road is open, but about milepost 8.5, they have asphalt damage. So you just have to be so careful. And right here by the radio station on Coronado,
I saw that this morning.
There was like the road is buckling, so there's asphalt problems. So you just have to slow down and be careful.
Well, you really do, and especially at nighttime, where it's really deceiving. So, and that's part of our safety message this morning is just be careful right now. It's a very wet monsoon. They predicted that, and it's truly playing out to be, it can be very vulnerable depending on how you're driving. And I got to give a shout out to SSVEC. They sponsor this show, but also they've been out there a whole lot keeping our power on, a whole lot. And my son being a lineman, and working with all the linemen over at SSVC, and I know quite a few of them. They're out there late hours keeping the power on, and people take that for granted. But please, if you see SSVC employee or staff member, thank them for what they're doing because they're actually keeping us lit.
Douglas had an issue where over 3,000 homes were impacted by lack of power last night. Didn't last very long, fortunately, but, again, those types of things. And your safety message, going back to that about water and whatnot, we had reports this morning of people moving barricades on Highway 80 near Davis Road so that they could go through. What that does is it doesn't just impact you. You're in a hurry and you think that that's going to be fine, but it impacts all of the people that come after you that don't know that was moved by a private citizen. They think that maybe a road department or something officially moved the barricades. Please don't do that.
Well, no, and they're up there for a purpose, and that is to keep you safe. by violating that, you're putting yourself and others in risk, and that's a violation. You can be charged for that. Obviously, road closed means road closed, and so we want to honor and respect that. So I want to give you an SSVC story from last week. They were out last Saturday night for like 12 hours, 16 hours, the linemen. They were coming back about 4 in the morning, speaking of Charleston Road, and I was talking to the linemen involved in this, and so they're coming back on Charleston Road, and they get in there by the bridge, and they see this like real dim light off the road into the brush. And the grass is all up because of the weeds and all the wetness we've had. So the lineman gets out of the truck, pulls in there, and walks over, and there's a vehicle crash. And so he walks up, he looks in the front seat, and it's got, like I said, the low dim light in there, and there's nobody in the front seat. He looks in the back seat, he sees something out of the corner of his eye, jumps back, looks in the back seat, and there's a naked guy in the back seat, and who is quite impaired, I will say, and scared the hoot out of him. So he gets out of the vehicle. Of course, the SSVC employee did the right thing, called 911. Hey, I'm out here with a naked guy, and the guy got out and started running around. And so 2 of our deputies got there and took control of the situation. But again, thank you for SSVC, because they're an extension to public safety for us. They really are. And that was the second accident they rolled up on in a week, because of they're out there keeping the lights on for us, where they ran into accidents and then alerted public safety by calling 911. So we appreciate our linemen and all our SSVC employees.
And see, we're fortunate he stopped, because in Charleston Road, folklore with the woman in white, maybe,
that's true.
If he was freaked out about ghosts, it's a good thing he stopped anyway.
I think they'll avoid Charleston Road here in the next that he was telling me how it spooked him out, man. He really did, because they looked in the front seat. And that was 4:30 in the morning. We could go Saturday, if you remember. That's when that storm came in. So it was lightning, thundering, and you're looking in a car, and you're in the brush by yourself looking in this car, and all of a sudden you see something, and that person jumps up in the back, and he's completely naked, and he's like, wow, am I being pranked? I mean, so of course he got back and called and said, hey, give some people out here to help me. So again, we appreciate our SSVC folks.
Earlier this week, you took part in a competition for the Chamber of Commerce, and you were against Jackie Clay. So do you have the results of how that competition went?
We don't have the results yet.
Okay.
I heard we won, so we're going to go with that. We're just going to let that be. I called Jackie yesterday to let her concede to me, but she wouldn't. So we haven't heard. And I Melanie and her team over at the Chamber, I want to give them a shout out as they try to enhance the Chamber, and it's tough. We're still in a tough time. I mean, and I know some community members came together. I don't know the final results. I know we had some more members, and that's most important. But is it what I think we wanted to get to? I don't think so. But again, there was a valiant effort, and we're all busy. But again, a shout out to Melanie and the Service Chamber, and a shout out to Jackie for a valiant effort too, for trying to be team sheriff, and that just didn't happen. So we wish her well next year.
And I think that with the number of people that were brought in, number of businesses that were brought in, with being the first group that went through there, I think a majority of the concerns were previous chamber issues with the Sierra Vista Area Chamber, but through conversations with different kind of people, made sure that they understood that the leadership has changed for the Chamber. They're really trying everything that they can to be more proactive and responsive to the entire community and the businesses and whatnot. And I think that they're, with this kickoff, I think that they're going to be much better off. And thank you to everybody who was there. They did an amazing job. The competition, true competitive spirit was out there. And hopefully this will just only build upon the things that the Chamber is going to do.
And we can always look in the past and find something that didn't work. We got to look in the future. We do. And Melanie's done a very good job of enhancing and bringing the Chamber into the community, and she needs help over there. There's no doubt about it. The more businesses we can add and more support we can put toward our service at Chamber, and it does the greater, just not service, it's the greater area of Cochise County too, and that it only enhances our economy, enhances the businesses that we can shop at, all that. And that's why we jumped into that. It's not about the money aspect. It's about enhancing the greater serviced area in Cochise County.
And we're really glad the Sheriff's Office won that.
We are, and we appreciate that. That's an early prediction. I know team superintendent out there, Miss Jackie, I know she's probably not sleeping well last night, but it's only a competition, Jackie, so hang in there.
And last Saturday, you were in Prescott. What were you doing in Prescott?
I got invited to go up there and speak in Prescott to a group and reference updated border issues. And so there's about 200 people up there in Prescott. Beautiful area. I spoke in downtown Prescott last Saturday, and again, it was just a welcoming community. And I really enjoyed it. My wife and she went with me up there, and then we spent some. I took my own personal vehicle up there, and actually then afterwards and the night before we actually spent some time exploring Prescott. So had a good time, and then thanks to the citizens of Prescott that invited me up there to go do that. But we spoke about the border, and let me just say, I just got these stats, and that'll be my border update for today. Is you look at the face of what's going on this border, and that's Texas, the getaways. The give-ups in Texas. We have breached over 1 million entries on the southwest border. That's been detected and apprehended, 1 million. But we don't see that here in this part of the border. What we see is the getaways. These are the people that are camouflaged from head to toe. They're doing whatever it takes to get away. They're being smuggled by the cartels. This year, the federal fiscal year, there's been 270,000 getaways on the southwest border. 1,100 a day, so you got to figure 30,000 plus a month that are getting away into our country. But these are people we have no idea who they are, why they're here. And the Tucson sector, which involves Cochise County region, over 90,000 getaways. We lead the nation, and that's we see it. Our law enforcement sees it, our Border Patrol agents, and this is my message there. If you see a Border Patrol agent or a CBP working at the port, thank them for what they're doing. Their job is exhausting right now. Yesterday I was going to work. I was on the phone, wireless, of course, and came up about milepost 345 on 92, and I saw something on the corner of my eye. And I looked, and I saw 3 of them jumping a fence by John Ladd's property there. They saw me. They're all camouflaged up. They're really hard to see, and they jumped in the brush. So I did a U-turn, got out of the car, and it's truly eerie when you're going in the brush looking for people. I mean, they're camouflaged. They know you're coming. I found 3 of them hiding under some trees in the greenness now, and there was 4 to the east of them, 4 more to the west of them. I mean, that's how saturated it is on this desert right now, coming across our border. And and I keep saying this, I'll continue to say it, we have to have a collective message. We need to secure our borders. We need to have a collective message. If the process is not working, let's legalize our process and do it legally when it comes to changing immigration laws, which is not what I enforce. I do border security for public safety, national security, and humanitarian. That's the first thing we ask is, everybody all right? These people have been walking for 2 days. 2 days. So again, and my hat's off to Border Patrol. They apologized when they got there. Hey, sorry, we're running late. No, their hands are full right now, and I feel bad for them. I truly do, and their frustration is pretty high. So again, commend our Border Patrol for what they do.
And you were also busy going to the Constable's annual banquet.
Yeah, they had that Wednesday night in Tubac at the Country Club. If you've never been to Tubac's Country Club, if you ever want to go for a ride, go over to Tubac, Rio Rico area, and take those back roads up through the foothills. Beautiful area. And I went down there, and they had their annual Constable Association. And Melissa Worthland, our constable here in Sierra Vista, was there, and she invited me, hey, come on over. And the president of the Arizona Constables, which is out of Yavapai County, ironic enough, we just spoke about Yavapai. So I went over there, and it was a very nice event. But what a nice venue to have it to. Again, I've only been there once before, and just a beautiful area. So I went over there and supported that, and that's all on behalf of the Arizona Sheriff Association. That's, as being the president of the sheriffs, I attend a lot of events like that.
And continuing your travels, you were in Phoenix Wednesday for the AZ Post Board.
Yeah, I put 400 miles on my car just Wednesday alone. 400 miles. I was so glad to get out of my seat about 9:30 that night. I was like, get me out of this car. But and I spent a lot of time in that car. But yeah, I went up to Post, and there was in the Sierra Vista Herald today. There's an article about 2 officers that we initiated proceedings. Now let me explain what that means, because I had some calls on that yesterday too. When we get a complaint from law enforcement, so if you have a deputy or a law enforcement officer or a trooper that is relieved from duty. So he's in trouble, so he resigns in lieu of termination, or he leaves on bad terms. It is a requirement by that law enforcement agency to report to Arizona Post, which is police officer standards and training, that this person left in more than good terms. It wasn't good, let's put it that way. So we, at that point, our team at Post, they actually do a prelim. They look into it, what happened. They talk to the chief or sheriff. They look into it. They get the facts. They get the reports. And then, based on the preliminary report, it comes to Post Board if it rises to that level. And then we, as a board, then we initiate proceedings if we feel it rises to our level of conduct. And we're an integrity board. We hold the licenses for every cop in the state. So that's what we deal. It's not the individual. It's the license that each individual officer, their certifications. At that point, once we initiate proceedings, which the majority of the board has to vote on that, then it goes back to our staff at Post, and then they do an investigation. There's due process that kicks in at that point. And whether they ask for a hearing, which is an administrative law judge that comes involved in that, whether they come in front of the board and they plead their case in front of us, and the Attorney General's office, we have a legal team that works with us. At that point, it comes back to us for final resolution. If they don't voluntarily relinquish their license, then there has to be a decision by the board, and we have to accept that relinquish, which we vote on that too. But either way, it comes back to us with final resolution where we suspend, revoke, decline, discipline. Those are tough cases. But I'm really impressed with the caliber of law enforcement that sits on there. The Department of Corrections Director, Attorney General sits on that, the Director of DPS, we have a police chief sits on that, commander from a jail sits on that, we have an officer from Prescott that sits on that, I chair it, sheriff out of Yavapai County sits on that, and these are all appointed through standards that the state sets and the legislative body sets and the governor appoints. So, again, we've done, I think, a very good job of holding people accountable, law enforcement at all levels, taking the personality out of it, and putting criteria and facts in place. So, again, those two officers in the county, they both had initiated procedures, which means they're going through their due process now. I recused myself on the Tombstone one. I knew that sergeant over there. And not that it was conflicted because of the investigation. I had nothing to do with why he was terminated or resigned, excuse me. But it's just for transparency reason. For any thoughts of conflict, I just recused myself on that case. But the Douglas officer, I did not know who he was, so I had no issue with that one. So, again, these are tough cases, but they're open to the public, and you can listen to them, you can call in and listen to them, or you can go up and attend. And I took all my leadership team, from sergeants and lieutenants, when I first got appointed to this board, and brought them up there and listened for those 2 or 3 hours. So to actually see what happens when you're not a role model in your community no more. And we're role models, and we need to live that standard.
The Cochise County Sheriff Charity Ride is coming up in November, and we've just gotten past the people that can now try to be one of our nonprofits that could benefit from this. So let's talk about the Charity Ride. It's coming up.
November 6th.
Yeah.
It's going to be that Saturday. Looks like it's shaping up already because of the people that we have working behind the scenes. You know, you have Deputy Ed Gray, you have Sergeant Todd Linendahl, you have Corporal Ray McNeely, and just, you know, moving and shaking things, and I think it's going to be a good one. So again, next year, this is the 9th annual. Next year is going to be the big blowout. You know, this is going to be
decade.
like, it is. It's just going to be all kinds of fun. But this one, just get ready. We should be announcing. Thank you, Grady, for making sure that we get all of the PSAs done for people to apply. And so that has closed as of last Friday. And so we should have a final determination on the selected charities. But we really, truly want to say we appreciate everybody who's a nonprofit who did apply to be a recipient of the funds as a result of the money generated from the charity ride.
Well, that energy team, and I truly mean that. I mean, and thanks to our community that supports our charity ride. Those funds are raised through the community. If it wasn't for the community, we couldn't do this program. And a big shout out to Lully's Automotive Group, Sean and Bob over there, and Frank, and also to American Southwest Credit Union for their support. There are two partners in this, and it's a great event. Last year we had 500 participants for this ride, and I tell you, it's nice when you can give. We gave, was it 3 last year? $10,000
Correct.
Awards. So I'm pretty excited. It's always an exciting event. Plus we have tons of raffles and auction items. It's just, we do a lot of fun things. I don't know if we have auction items. We don't do the auctions at this one, do we?
The raffles is
Yeah,
what
just
we're
the
gonna,
raffles. Yeah, we don't do
correct.
the auction, so I stand corrected on that.
Another thing happening in our community is a hiring fair that's coming up on August 29th.
We're going to be talking about that one next with Eric Grisham from Arizona at Work, but I think it's an important thing for all law enforcement or public safety.
It is, and the Arizona at Work, I want to give them a shout out. I know they're coming up next after me on this show, and they do a lot in this community. They're kind of like the hidden heroes when it comes to the job market. They really are, and they're helping us out on the academy. I know you guys are going to talk about that, but they do a lot of good. So if you're looking for an opportunity, technical training, go see them. They're there to help, and they do an amazing job, which you're going to hear here in a few minutes.
And we have a couple employees leaving just really quickly. Angie Reagan has been with the Sheriff's Office in communications. She went to detention, then she went to CCOM. But she's decided that she's just going to hang up her Sheriff's Office hat and move on to not so green pastures. No, just kidding, Angie. It'll be great. No matter where she's going, they're going to be benefited by her experience. And it's unfortunate that she's leaving, but we only wish her the best.
Darn good supervisor. She was a supervisor over there, too. She's also just a fun voice on our radio. I mean, she really is. She's just a character in herself, and sent her an email yesterday wishing her well and going to miss her. She's going up to Fort Huachuca to do some dispatching for them up there, and so you got a good one coming up there, and she's really good. We're going to miss Angie, but she's going to do some part-time at CCOM, what I was told, and also we'll see her around. Colin, her husband, works over at Chili's, one of the managers, so again, she's good. We're going to miss her.
We're going to miss her Pakin Haka.
Oh, yes.
And Alexis, also in our civil division, she's going to be taking out of the sheriff's office. So both you guys, thank you so much for everything that you've done and that you will do.
Yes, Alex, she worked in our civil division. She's got 2 young kiddos at home that's drawing her attention, which I totally respect. And it was a torn decision for her on that, and sent her an email again yesterday, too, wishing her well. And I always say this, once you're part of the sheriff's office family, you're always part of the sheriff's office family. So I always tell them, come back and see us, and we'll have light on for you.
That's right. And back to school is starting, so please watch out for kids in crosswalks.
Yes, that's coming soon. In fact, some of the schools have already started. I think Benson already started. There's some other schools that have already started. So I think not next week. There's 1 week left, kids, and then back to the books. And so it's coming. I think they start August 3rd or 4th. I'm not the expert of that. So, but it's coming the first week in August that schools will be kicking back in. You'll be see the big yellow buses out there and the kids with their backpacks in the school zone. So just slow down.
And for your stop of the week, I understand that Elsie was actually got to witness this. So tell us about your stop of the week.
This is a unique incident. Elsie and Paul McMillan, they used to own Sierra Toyota. They rode with me this week. It was part of a charity event where they got to come out and spend the day with me, and we had a really good time. Thank you guys for doing that and supporting the cause. Not me, the cause, but I think it was Dining Under the Stars.
Yeah, a year and a half ago, yeah.
Yeah, we pushed it off because of COVID, so they couldn't ride. But so they came out and rode with me on Tuesday, and so we're coming down a road, and all of a sudden this car in front of us pulls over and comes out and flags and get the hand out the window, flagging me down and trying to get me to stop. And so I stopped, and she asked me, she goes, "Are you a police officer?" I said, "Well, kind of, yeah, I guess I am." And I'm saying that in a fun way, people. And so she goes, "Listen," and her car was just caked with mud. She goes, "Listen, this truck backed up into our parking lot where I work and spun the tires and got mud everywhere." And if you could see in the car, I mean, this is not even an exaggeration. I mean, it was a black car, and it was speckled with brown mud everywhere. And she goes, "I followed the truck. It just turned up a corner up here, so I went up around the corner, and there was that truck." So she goes, "That's the truck," and it matched. The truck was just loaded with mud. So long story short, I talked to the individual, and he didn't want to tell me the truth. Let me just say that, and was a little bit defiant toward why I was investigating this. He was subsequently charged, and what he did was he backed into a dirt parking lot next to a parking lot here, a business here in town where people were inside. And it's a big old race pickup truck. By the way, you got to have mud flaps on any pickup truck that you raise the center of gravity on a 3/4 ton truck. But he had no mud flaps, so he backed up and just spun his tires out and shot mud. I literally shot mud into this parking lot and just caked the cars parked there. Well, the workers inside the business are like, "Are you kidding me?" So they ran out there, and again, you guys, I mean, you can't even exaggerate how bad it was, and they chased him. They went after him. They were pretty upset. And this ain't the first time this happened, I guess. And so that's how they got him. So he was charged. He was charged by me for false information to a police officer. He ended up lying to me. And then he was charged for reckless driving. I think it was criminal damage. And maybe disorderly conduct. I'm not sure about the last one. But, I mean, for what he thought was just a joke. It's not a joke, folks. You can't just spin mud onto another car. So it goes back to respect with our motoring public. You got to respect. But this wasn't intentional. This went back, he intentionally meant to mud up this car.
And do you have a safety message of the week?
Yeah, besides stay out of the mud. Just kidding. Just kidding, not one. And again, I'm going to say it. I know I see it every day. And what's a yellow light meet at an intersection? It is not the green flag.
Go faster.
Yes, thank you. That's what. It's amazing. I made 2 stops this week where the yellow light became the green flag. Let me punch it, and I watched that very closely. And so I stopped both of them and said, "Hey," and they both acknowledged, "Yeah, I did that, didn't I?" "Yeah, you did." And I said, "And that's where we're having accidents." And you ask the city of Sierra Vista, they'll tell you that. Police department. You talk to anybody in the intersections. That last minute, I can get through there. Well, the yellow means that's your preparatory to stop. It's not a preparatory to go. And so I say slow down, be respectful of the motoring population out there, and we'd be all so much better off if we could do that. And I had a call. I was coming back from work a couple nights ago. It was late in about 6 o'clock, and I see a car off the road. And what happened, she was making, on one of the highways, she was passing, lost control, overcorrected, and slid off the road and broke both the beads in her tire and did a little bit of damage to her car. Didn't hit anything. So when I pulled up on it, she's like, "Well, there's no problem." No problem. So I asked her for a driver's license. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Ma'am, you're involved in an accident." "I didn't hit anything." Folks, it's not whether you hit something. The issue is if you fail to control your vehicle and you have an accident, that is a violation of the law. So we investigated that. So my whole point on that is we have to slow down. And obviously she was passing. So, again, we go back to, and you can pass as long as it's legal and as long as it's within reasonable speed. But, again, slow down. It's all we ask. Because we've seen it every day. Law enforcement is out there. We don't want nobody hurt out there. So that's my safety message.
Well, Sheriff Mark Daniels, we thank you for coming and talking to us
Thank
today.
you, Grady. Thank you, Carrie. And everybody have a safe week. Take care.
Who's coming in next, Carol?
We have Eric Grisham. He is an amazing person from Arizona at Work.
First Watch on KWCD Country, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
It's First Watch Now.
Hosted by Public Information Officer Carol Kappas and Grady Butler.
On 92.3 KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, giving you an inside look into your sheriff's office. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas, Public Information Officer with the Sheriff's Office, and our next guest.
Welcome back, Cochise County, and if you're on your way to work, please be careful out there. Eric Grisham, Arizona at Work, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, so Arizona at Work, we're the local workforce organization here in Cochise County. We actually are Arizona at Work, southeastern Arizona, cover Cochise, Graham, and Greenlee County. But we are here to help job seekers find jobs and businesses to find those job seekers, which is a very sensitive point right now. A lot of businesses are hurting for workers.
And so do you find that it's mostly in the service industry, or is it just globally? Because I see a lot of maybe restaurants and fast food places that say, that they're seeking help.
Well, I mean, I want to say the large majority of them are coming from the restaurants, the fast food industries, hospitality. But it's actually nationwide in every industry. One of the biggest industries hit hard is transportation. A lot of people think the gas prices going up are all because of our current president and his team, and I'm not saying they may not have something to do with it, but one of the biggest reports we've seen is a lot of fuel companies can't get their product to the stations because they don't have enough drivers.
Wow, it's things like that on the back end that people really don't think about.
Yeah.
And Arizona at Work, you were mentioning earlier, we were talking about the academy. You help with the law enforcement training academy that we have here in Cochise County.
Yes. So under the WIOA, which is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, we're able to help folks with our workforce grants for training and education. And we teamed up with the police academy that Cochise College puts on to help those cadets or those rookies wanting to be in the police force to pay for their school. Which, one, it helps the individual because they don't have to pay out of pocket, but then it also helps the law enforcement agency because, unfortunately, one of the big places that gets hit when budget cuts come in is some of the law enforcement training and education and stuff like that. So, I think it's a win-win for all teams.
It is, and you talk about grants. You just mentioned that you have that one for the academy, but you also have an H-1B1 grant that you received.
Yes, so we just recently got awarded an H-1B1 workforce grant, which sort of targets the IT, cyber world, transportation, and big manufacturing, but we're also opening it up for law enforcement as well. So if you have some of those young beat cops or deputies or whatnot that are looking to get promoted, but they don't have a the college degree or whatnot that may be required, through the new H-1B1 grant, we may be able to help them pay for that schooling so that way they can get a higher paying position on the force.
Right, and different law enforcement agencies have different programs in place for reimbursement and whatnot. But this is a really good way to reach out for law enforcement and, like you said, for IT, cybersecurity. Cochise College does a fantastic job of a new cybersecurity training working with the University of Arizona South. So those types of things, knowing that you are out there is a tremendous asset. One of the other things that I didn't know until a couple years ago in working with you is that you do help job seekers and business, as you say, you marry the two together. But how many people do you know that, try to go online or maybe go to the library or do whatever they need to do to learn how to write a resume or whatnot? You guys start from that. It's an amazing project that you have going. So if someone walks in your door, you can help them do it all. So where would you start with them?
Well, first, normally what we do, everybody that comes in, we get them registered in what's called Arizona Job Connection, or AJC, which is the largest workforce database in the state. Now, originally, with unemployment, anybody that came in, they had to register with AJC to begin with because of the job searches. Because through AJC, it's like a giant Indeed with a few twists. So they build an account. They can actually create a resume. There's a resume writer in there, and I'm not saying it's the perfect, but it's a very good start because it'll ask you a lot of tedious questions to identify your skills, your experience, and put it all together in a resume to at least get started. And with that, when you build that, it also identifies any potential business that creates an account and posts a job in AJC. It will send them notification, hey, there's a potential here with these skills that you're looking for. So that's usually where we get started, and that's usually the first resume we get going for them. But then, based on what they're trying to apply for, we can go in and we can cater and we can draft that resume to meet the requirements for the job they're applying for.
And that's just the start. So
That's
once they finish that, let's say they need training or they want to look at something in support and they need training in computer. How do you navigate through a computer, or how do you type?
Yep.
Then you guys would do what?
Yeah, so we actually have a set of classes. We call them Keys to Success. And we teach some basic computers, resume writing. We also teach Interview for Success or Interview with Confidence to basically get that person to that level they need to be at. Because, we have a wide variety. You got those that are very introvert. They don't want to talk to nobody. They don't want to deal with anybody. So we provide classes. We can also provide mock interviews. I've got several businesses around the area that are all about coming in and doing mock interviews for some of these clients to build them up. And then from there, we try to get them into our orientation, which our orientation is Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock. You only need to attend one. And it talks more about who we are, what we do, and then we get them started with what we call a Step 1 packet. That Step 1 packet is what is like the first step of an application for our workforce grants. So, once we find out what they want to do, maybe they're tired of working fast food. Maybe they're tired of the same old job they've been working minimum wage, but they don't have the skills to move up. So we try to, whether it's connect them with the college, adult education, Center for Lifelong Learning, or some of their regular programs through Cochise College or U of A South, and we may be able to fund that. So once they start that step one packet, we can identify what they qualify for, and then we may be able to help them build those skills. And then through the whole process, we have career advisors that will talk with them, work with them, and then of course they come to me and says, "Hey, my client's ready for a job. What do you got?" And I reach out to my businesses and we try to find them a good match to at least get them started.
And in addition to that, regardless of the age of these people, one of the other things I noted that your group does is, when I was there, is they were giving them like tips on how to dress,
Yes.
appropriate clothing. And if they didn't have appropriate clothing, I believe I heard somebody trying to help them get appropriate clothing.
Yeah, we actually have several partners throughout the county. So there's a place called Jennifer's Closet. Even if they're veterans, over at the Warrior Healing Center, there's the Women Warriors that actually have lending closets and stuff. So we partner up with several people. We're like a joint task force, if you will, of resources and stuff, where we can reach out to some of our partners or some of our resources and say, "Hey, I've got a client here. They're going for their first interview, but they have nothing." Now, if they're a veteran, the great thing about veterans is if you're a veteran, the state actually has a vet toolkit, which is up to $500 to $700. I think they've changed it a little bit here lately, but where maybe you're a veteran, you're going for your first interview, you don't have a suit. They can buy you suits, they can buy you tools, anything to help you be successful on that first step. So, and then outside of the veterans, like I said, we have our partners and our resources throughout the community where we can help them find what they need to get started.
And about how many people do you see, let's say on a monthly basis, that you help go through there? I know that was like throwing you under the bus with that question.
Yeah, that was unexpected. Wow, it's hard to say because it really varies. There's some months we'll see several hundred. I know during the pandemic, of course, most of it was unemployment claims. We were seeing close to thousands.
Right.
So yeah, it's very, right now we're sort of at a stalemate. We're trying to get more people coming in. Of course, once again, we were talking about businesses looking for the labor force. So it has slowed down quite a bit for us, but we're trying to get the word out and pick it back up, especially since all that extra money went away.
Right. And then you had mentioned that you were just researching something, and there's a scary trend that may be coming in the fall.
If you follow TikTok, which is, I never thought I'd say those words as being a source, but it's actually grown a lot. But yeah, there is a scary trend. 95% of the workforce, according to Glassdoor and Job Seeker and Ladder, the search sites, are saying 95% of the workforce is looking for another skill, another job. They're looking to go, and somebody has started this thing called the Great Resignation, where a lot of folks are potentially on the verge of quitting their jobs, and it's supposed to come through the fall. Now, there's things that cause this. There's things from all the extra money that unemployment was given, people being able to work from home. Now they're being called back into the office, but they really enjoyed being with their family and being able to do a lot more stuff. So there's so many different factors involved since the COVID hit. COVID just sort of pushed everything fast forward. I tell people it took the future and brought it to the present, because everything eventually is going to go to electronics, technology, and all this. I think we just sort of sped it up. But now people are realizing, hey, there's more for me. Now, the smart ones have been taking advantage during this work at home, and they've been getting more education, more training, certifications. But a large population that I've seen, especially in this area, haven't really done much with it. And it's scary because, if all these people start following that trend of the Great Resignation, you're going to have all these people that are out of a job, not a lot of money coming in because unemployment Arizona took away the extra $300 unemployment. So now they're looking at $240 a week or $117 a week, depending on which unemployment they're getting. And that's not enough to take care of a family, to pay all your bills and stuff. So, it is a scary thought for businesses that are already short-handed right now. If this Great Resignation happens, especially here in this area, it's going to be pretty devastating.
Well, let's talk about people who are looking for a job and then employers who are looking for employees. What does it cost to use your services?
Oh, that's the great thing, the best thing about it. So because we're funded through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, it's at no cost to either the job seeker or the business. I can post jobs, I can set up hiring fairs, I can set up resources, or job seekers can come in, use our job center, work on resumes, check their emails, and take all this training. It won't cost them a thing.
That's an excellent price.
Yes, exactly. I've always liked free.
And you just mentioned job fairs, and we've got several of those coming up in the near future. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so I'm in the process right now. I'm working on about 4 to 6 hiring events right now. I'm actually teamed up with the Cochise County Sheriff's Department. We're looking for tentatively August 27th. I'm just waiting on the reply back from our venue, the location we're trying to have it at. But August 27th, we're looking to having a medical support, medical responders / law enforcement hiring event, because all the law enforcement agencies are struggling. They're short, whether it's because people don't want to go to work, or I know we talked about a lot of people, a lot of the older folks, they're ready to retire. They're ready to hang it up, move on, and get on with a somewhat normal life, I guess, if that's even possible anymore. I know Sierra Vista PD, they had several that were scheduled. Even when we went through the leadership class, they were talking about all the people over the next 5 years that were getting ready to retire. So there's a lot of factors, but there's a shortage everywhere. Bisbee's hurting. Douglas is hurting. So Tombstone. So, yeah, we're going to team up. We're going to try to put on an event and bring everybody out. Even if it's just come out and show your support for the local law enforcement, the first responders, paramedics and stuff, I think it can be a great event.
I think it will be, and I'm hoping you get the venue that you're looking for. And I keep saying the 29th. I have no idea, but it's the 27th. It's a Friday.
Yes.
So we're, again, tentative. Once we get that all locked in, we'll make sure we do that.
We're going to start blasting it out. And then I'm doing a hiring event in Wilcox September 7th. October 1st, we're doing another big hiring event here in Sierra Vista, and we're looking October 8th or 9th, whatever that Friday is, to doing one in Douglas. But I'm also in the works. Hopefully, I'm trying to get something with one of the organizations in Bisbee to do another event in Bisbee, because they're actually having to shut down some of their businesses because they don't have enough people. We know the Bisbee Hospitality Group already lost Santiago's. Not lost it, but they closed it down during the pandemic because they didn't have enough people to work. Well, now they've had to cut hours at the table because they don't have enough people. They need 15 to 20 more people just to keep everything going. So I'm looking at trying to do something with them. And then also I'm in the works with Tombstone to see if we can do something in Tombstone as well. So, I think over the next couple of months it's going to be pretty exciting for me because I love doing this kind of stuff. But it's be great opportunities for the job seekers to come out, and now is the time to come out and try to negotiate and do your wheeling and dealing to find the best job for you and your family.
Well, Eric, we're out of time, so we got to get one more question in there. How do we get a hold of you at Arizona at Work? Okay, so Arizona at Work, you can give me a call, 520-458-9309. Ask for Eric. You can email me at SEAZWorks. That's SEAZWORKS at gmail.com. Or the best thing to do is go on and like us on Facebook at Arizona at Work Southeastern Arizona. Well, Eric, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's First Watch on KWCD Country, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
You've been listening to First Watch with the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Hosted by Cochise County Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler.
Join us again next Friday morning, 7 to 8 a.m.
First Watch.
What you need to know from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Only on 92.3 KWCD.